Welcome to the Reaction Radar. All right, let's get something straight. What you're about to hear is fear-mongering, plain and simple. Jasmine Crockett claims people are going to die because of a bill that prioritizes money over a long-due Medicare reform. But let me ask you, when did budgeting responsibility become anti-American? When did cutting fraud and abuse become anti-patriotic? This isn't about killing people. It's about saving a system that's been drained dry for a long time. And of course, no one on MSNBC will tell you that, but I will. Without any further ado, let's get into this.
Democrat of Texas. She's running to serve as ranking member of the Oversight Committee, and she joins me now. Good to have you here.
Good to see you.
Let's start with the polling because it strikes me as both sort of encouraging for those opponents of the bill, also a huge messaging opportunity because a third of people don't have an opinion of it. So you've got 23 support, 42% oppose, 34% no opinion. What does that say to you?
Yeah, it says that we still have a lot of work to do as it relates to kind of getting the message out. I do appreciate the fact that we've had some time, which is something that we didn't have when we went through the continuing resolution fight that we had where you know who sent out a tweet and all of a sudden a bill went kaput. And so I do appreciate that we're kind of getting through it, but you're talking about pages and pages of legislation. And then you have, you know, the Trump administration throwing things out like, oh, we're not going to put a tax on this, so you should love it. But they're not telling the other side of the story. Like at the end of the day, would you rather have a tax bill that may be $5, you know, less that you're normally keeping in your pockets, but you don't have this crazy random healthcare bill?
Right.
Probably so, right? Like, and the reality is that people are going to die. You know, listening to the stories of people that literally have only been able to live because of Medicaid, it's heartbreaking. And the fact that we're talking about rich people just keeping more money in their pockets while literally other people are going to die, it sounds anti-American and definitely sounds anti-patriotic.
So
now listen. No one wants people losing access to care, but we also can't ignore that Medicare is bloated with people who don't belong on it. Able-bodied adults who could be working but don't. You know, who gets hurt the most by that? The truly vulnerable senior and kids, people in crisis. Crockett's outrage is misplaced.
Yes.
it seems to me like Ron Johnson and the sort of right-wing faction in the Senate is actually pushing to make this bill more aggressive on the cuts side. And I'm wondering if you were anticipating that or if you thought you were expecting a more moderate bill.
No, I was expecting the Senate to fix everything.
What are your thoughts on this so far?
I mean, I was expecting it still to come back as a bad bill, but we're talking about
it would get better.
Correct. I thought it would get better. We're talking about a bill that only made it through the House by one vote.
Right.
One vote. So literally it's like two people went AWOL, right? And another two Republicans voted with the Dems. And then another one just said, listen, I'm just going to white light this or, you know, vote present.
Yeah.
And so I expected in the Senate, especially because think about it this way. Our congressional districts are approximately 766,000 people. And so literally there are some Republicans that don't have any hospitals whatsoever in their districts. But then you start talking about the Senate, every single state senator has hospitals. And when you start to talk about rural hospitals possibly shutting down because they don't have enough funding because you're now cutting this Medicaid funding and they can't supplement because they don't have all these other people coming in with, say, private insurance, I thought the senators would say, listen, we can't do this.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because one of the things, my understanding, again, the details here get a little complicated, but there's this mechanism called the provider tax, which actually would hurt hospitals.
Yeah.
The real threat is not Trump's bill, but a broken, abused Medicare system collapsing under its own. Think about that for a minute. Red State Impact Crockett's ironically admits rural hospital will suffer, but why? Because their local government refused to implement reforms a year ago. This is not something that just happened because Trump started signing stuff on Medicare. This is why you have to think. Be informed and engage. Be informed and engage. Hospital lobbies, silence. She's shocked that they're fighting harder, maybe because they know these cuts target insufficient to critical care. People will die. And emotional manipulation, and it's worse. It's a political weapon, not a medical reality.
Hospitals are shutting down, and in rural America, you don't have as many providers either. And so literally, if you have this specialized cancer, you can't stay at home. You've got to go somewhere else because there's no one that knows about the help that you need. So it is really odd. And I tell you this, that there's going to be more hurt that comes to red states than blue states. Blue states can actually take in a lot of this, not to say that they should and not to say that it's right, but like it will be
disproportionately red states will get hurt by the Medicaid cuts in both these versions of the bill.
Yes, absolutely.
Congresswoman Jasmine.
When politicians start using death as a scare tactic, it's because they've run out of truth. Jasmine Crockett doesn't want reform. She wants rage, but rage won't balance a budget, and it sure won't save Medicare. Real reform is tough. It takes guts, and we owe it to the people who actually depend on these services to get it right. Please remember, like, share, and subscribe. And until we meet again, stay informed and engaged. Have a good one.